Have you ever laid next to someone you deeply love and still felt completely alone? You share a bed, a house, a life, maybe even kids. From the outside, it looks like a strong relationship. But inside, it feels like there's a canyon between you. You long for emotional intimacy, the kind where you feel known, understood, and safe. But instead, you feel like you're walking on eggshells, holding your breath, performing a role just to get through the day. This isn't about a lack of commitment or falling out of love. This is something much more invisible and much more dangerous: emotional loneliness. And today we're going to unpack exactly what that is, how it happens, how it shows up in long-term relationships, and most importantly, what you can do to start healing it. If you're tired of feeling alone in your relationship, stay with me. This might just be the wake-up call your heart has been waiting for. Let's define emotional loneliness. It's not about whether or not someone is physically present in your life. You could be married, living together, sleeping in the same bed every night, and still feel emotionally starved. Emotional loneliness happens when you don't feel seen or heard or valued for who you truly are. It's when your inner world goes unacknowledged, and over time, you start to disappear inside the relationship. It might look like this. You talk about schedules and logistics, but never your feelings. You feel like your partner doesn't really know you anymore. You avoid emotional conversations because they feel too vulnerable. You go days or even weeks without a moment of real connection. It's like being in the middle of a desert, standing next to someone who has the water, but doesn't know you're thirsty. This kind of loneliness doesn't always scream. It whispers, it simmers, it hides beneath routines and responsibilities. And eventually, it starts to erode even the strongest relationships. So many couples don't even know this is what they're experiencing. They just feel a vague sadness, a quiet ache, a growing doubt. They think, maybe we're just not meant for each other, or maybe this is what long-term love is supposed to feel like. But that's a myth. True love isn't about perfect compatibility. It's about continued connection. It's not about avoiding disconnection. It's about learning how to repair it. But before we can repair disconnection, we must understand what some of the modern relationship stressors are. We're living in a time where emotional connection is harder than ever to sustain. Between demanding careers, raising children, constant screen time, and financial stress, couples are often emotionally depleted before they even sit down together. We scroll beside each other in silence. We work late, collapse into bed, and wonder why we feel distant. The very pace of modern life works against the slowness and presence that emotional intimacy requires. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to name what's not working and begin to reclaim what matters. So why does emotional loneliness show up in committed relationships? Let's explore 3 hidden causes. First, unmet attachment needs. We all have them. They're the deep human longings for safety, for closeness, reassurance, validation. These needs form early in life and follow us into adulthood. Depending on your childhood, you may have developed a particular attachment style. Someone with an anxious attachment style may seek constant reassurance, fearing abandonment. Someone with an avoidant attachment style might need space and shut down when things feel intense. Neither is wrong, they're just protective patterns. Take Sam and Rachel. Rachel has an anxious attachment style. She constantly asks Sam if he still loves her. Sam, who leans avoidant, feels overwhelmed and retreats. Rachel feels even more rejected. Sam feels even more suffocated. They're stuck in a painful loop, not because they don't love each other, but because they don't understand each other's nervous systems. Unmet attachment needs are like invisible hands pulling you apart. Until you name them and meet them with compassion, the disconnection deepens. Second, the functional roommate dynamic. This happens to high-functioning couples all the time. You're not arguing. You're not unhappy exactly. You're just flat, disconnected. You go through the motions, you make decisions together, but you don't dream together anymore. You've become efficient, but not intimate. Take Laura and Miguel. They've been married 12 years. They co-parent, run a business, and handle responsibilities like a well-oiled machine. But Laura recently said, "I feel like we haven't laughed together in years." Miguel was shocked. He thought everything was fine. That's the thing about emotional loneliness. It often hides under functionality. Third, unspoken pain or resentment. This might be the most silent of all disconnections. Maybe something hurt, but you didn't talk about it. Maybe a boundary was crossed and never acknowledged. Maybe you've been carrying resentment quietly, hoping it would go away, but it doesn't. Take Devin and Elise. 3 years ago, Devin lost his job. Elise picked up the financial slack. Devin felt ashamed, so he withdrew emotionally. Elise felt burdened and eventually resentful. Neither ever spoke about it. Now they barely touch. They rarely talk. They love each other, but feel like strangers. That's how emotional loneliness sets in. The unfortunate reality is that when couples feel the pain of disconnection, their first instinct is often to do something. But many of the things they try only deepen the emotional divide. Planning a vacation, hoping it will reignite the spark, but avoiding the real issues. Buying gifts or doing chores, thinking that practical love will replace emotional presence. Staying silent to keep the peace when what's needed is open-hearted truth. Over-focusing on the kids or work to avoid intimacy. These strategies are not bad, they're just incomplete. Emotional intimacy isn't rebuilt through distraction or delay. It's rebuilt through courage, presence, and vulnerability. Let's go deeper now. Because most emotional disconnection, it's not intentional, it's protective. And a big part of this protection comes from your nervous system. When we feel emotionally unsafe, our body goes into survival mode. Fight, flight, freeze. You may not even realize it's happening, but your body does. Let's say your partner interrupts you while you're speaking. You immediately go silent. Your heart races. Your throat tightens. That's your nervous system saying, I don't feel safe. Or maybe your partner asks, can we talk later tonight? And you panic. You replay old fights in your head. Your stomach drops. You avoid them the rest of the day. That's your nervous system anticipating emotional threat. When your nervous system is dysregulated, it's almost impossible to stay open and connected. That's why understanding your own body, your own cues, is key to healing emotional loneliness. And understanding your partner's nervous system is just as important. Take Alicia and Brian. Whenever Alicia gets overwhelmed, she raises her voice. Not to attack, but because she's in fight mode. Brian, who grew up in a loud, hostile household, shuts down completely when voices escalate. He isn't trying to punish Alicia, he's in freeze mode. Until they understood their nervous systems, they stayed locked in a trauma dance. Understanding your nervous system is not just science, it's sacred. It's how we start to feel safe again, in our own skin and with each other. Awareness is just the beginning. To truly shift the dynamic in your relationship, you have to take action. Gentle, intentional action that invites connection instead of conflict. So let's walk through the steps that can help you begin reconnecting, not just in theory, but in the real, everyday moments that matter most. Step 1, name the disconnection. This step is about bringing awareness to what's happening and doing it in a way that fosters closeness, not defensiveness. Say something like, I've been feeling a little distant from us lately. I miss the emotional closeness we used to have. Or, I feel like we're functioning well, but we're not feeling connected emotionally, and I really miss that with you. You can also use a sentence stem like, lately I've been feeling, what I really need right now is, I miss when we used to. Try this. Write a letter to your partner expressing your feelings. Read it aloud together. This creates safety and intentional space for vulnerability. Or use a connection journal that you pass back and forth once a week. It's a way to write down thoughts or feelings you find hard to say out loud. Here's a tip. Use neutral, grounding language. Avoid saying you never or you always. Start with I feel. For example, instead of you don't care about me anymore, try I've been feeling lonely and I think I'm craving more emotional connection with you. This softens the message and invites dialogue. Bonus tip, timing matters. Don't bring this up during a fight or when one of you is rushing out the door. Pick a calm moment when you both have space. Here's a real-life example. Jenna waited until her husband was relaxed one evening, then gently shared, I miss feeling like your person. I know we've both been overwhelmed, but I want us back. That moment opened a door they didn't even realize had closed. Here's what this might look like in a real scenario. Partner A, I don't want to blame or attack, but lately I've been feeling kind of alone, even when we're together. Partner B, I didn't know you felt that way. I've just been trying to get through the days. Partner A, I get that. I think we both have, but I miss feeling close to you. I don't want to coast through life. I want to feel connected again. This kind of dialogue creates an opening, not a breakdown. It shifts from blame to shared vulnerability. Step 2, get curious, not critical. Curiosity heals. It says, I care enough to listen. I want to understand. So many couples default to criticism. You don't help. You never open up. But criticism activates defensiveness. Curiosity opens the heart. Ask open questions like, what's something that's been on your heart lately that I might not know about? Is there a moment recently where you felt disconnected from me? When do you feel closest to me, even in small ways? Then really listen, not to reply, but to understand. Try this. Schedule a weekly curiosity hour. 1 hour where the goal is connection, not problem solving. Ask, listen, and reflect. You can also use conversation card decks. There are some specifically for couples that help spark emotional intimacy. Here's another tip. When your partner shares, validate their experience even if you don't agree. Say, that makes sense, or I can see how that felt hard for you. Validation builds safety. A great idea is to keep a shared curiosity journal. Each week, write one question and answer it privately, then swap journals. You'll learn more about each other than you expected. For example, Mark and Tanya were always bickering. Once a week, they started asking each other one question with no rebuttals allowed, only reflection. Within a month, the tone of their marriage softened. Step 3, reintroduce emotional rituals. Rituals are small, predictable ways we say, I see you, I care. They may only take seconds, but they build emotional glue. Here are some ideas to try. A daily 6-second kiss. Studies show couples who kiss daily are more connected. Bedtime gratitude. Share one moment you appreciated each other every night. Morning check-ins. What's one thing you're looking forward to or dreading today? Use a shared photo album to relive favorite memories and spark warmth. Create a connection menu. Each of you lists 5 simple ways you feel most emotionally connected. For example, words of affirmation, eye contact during conversation, holding hands, sitting close while watching TV, text check-ins during the day. Use these daily. Even just one connection habit can transform your emotional rhythm. You can also try the 5 for 5 ritual. For 5 days, each partner does 5 small gestures of emotional connection. Keep a list. Talk about which ones mattered most at the end. For example, Jack and Tessa were feeling distant after having their second child. They started a Sunday night wine ritual where they light a candle, sit in the living room, and talk about one thing that made them feel close or far that week. That one ritual changed everything. Here are some additional tools. Use a shared Google Calendar to schedule intentional connection time. Leave each other sticky notes with compliments or inside jokes. Consistency is more important than perfection. Step 4, rebuild your emotional maps. Emotional maps are how well you know your partner's internal world. Over time, couples stop asking deep questions. Life becomes logistical, and love starts to feel flat. Ask questions like, what's a fear you're working through lately? If money and time weren't an issue, what would you want more of in life? What's something I used to do that made you feel really loved, that maybe I've forgotten? Try this. Each partner picks a story to tell once a week, something from childhood, teen years, or a past relationship that shaped them. This creates emotional richness and rediscovery. Or do a memory lane walk. Go somewhere meaningful to your relationship and reflect. What do you remember about this day? What were you feeling about us back then? How have we grown since then? Bonus idea, try the 21 questions reconnection game. Ask 1 to 3 questions a day from a printed list. Mix deep and playful. What's something you secretly love about me but don't say often? What's one way we've grown stronger as a team in the past year? What's one fantasy or dream you have that you've never told me? Here's a tech-friendly tip. Use texting to your advantage. Send voice notes, gifs, or short love messages throughout the day. Even "I'm thinking about you" can make someone feel seen. For example, Mia and Andre were in a rut after 9 years together. They started doing Sunday question nights. Over wine and takeout, they took turns asking and answering 3 deep questions. Their emotional intimacy bloomed. Step 5, seek support. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do for your relationship is to ask for help. Support can look like couples therapy, a relationship coach, a weekend retreat, or online course. Reading a book together and talking about it. Try this. Each of you picks a podcast episode or article to listen to weekly, then talk about it over coffee. This builds shared language and insight. You can also find local couples workshops. Many offer sliding scale options. And if you're spiritual, consider meeting with a faith-based mentor or pastoral counselor. Here's a mindset shift. Getting help doesn't mean your relationship is broken. It means it's valuable enough to invest in. Even if only one partner is willing to grow, growth can still happen. You showing up differently can begin to shift the dynamic. True story. Dev and Liana were stuck in a loop of disconnection and conflict. Liana began individual coaching, which helped her change how she approached conversations. Over time, Dev noticed the shift, became more open, and they started couples counseling. Healing doesn't always begin together, but it can end that way. Let's recap what emotional loneliness can look like, the symptoms that don't always scream but whisper beneath the surface. You feel emotionally safer at work or with friends than with your partner. You avoid bringing up deeper topics because it feels like talking to a wall. You share a home, a schedule, even a bed, but not your hearts. You're constantly distracted, or you use distraction to avoid emotional pain. You feel unseen, unheard, or unimportant. These symptoms aren't always dramatic, but they add up, and over time, they become a quiet, chronic ache. If you recognize any of these, know that you're not alone, and there's a path forward. We've covered a lot. Let's do a quick self-check-in. Take a moment to pause and reflect. You can write this down, say it aloud, or just sit with it quietly in your heart. What part of this message hit me the hardest? What have I been afraid to say, even to myself? When was the last time I felt safe, open, and emotionally close with my partner? What's one small way I could reach toward connection this week? Now take a deep breath. Remind yourself, you are allowed to want more. You are worthy of being emotionally met, and this is your moment to begin. So what does reconnection actually feel like? Let's imagine it. Not just what emotional connection looks like, but what it feels like. It's softness, slowness, a glance that lingers, the feeling that someone is attuned to you, not just physically present, but emotionally invested. It's when you can say, I'm struggling, and they don't try to fix it, they just sit with you. It's laughter returning, not because life is easy, but because the safety between you allows joy to resurface. It's not perfect, but it's honest. It's not constant, but it's reliable. It's a rhythm you both return to, again and again. You deserve this kind of love. And it's not out of reach, it just takes intention. So if you're feeling emotionally lonely in your relationship, please hear this. You are not broken. Your relationship is not beyond hope. Emotional distance happens to the best of us, but love is not just about commitment, it's about connection. And connection can be rebuilt. One honest conversation at a time, one small ritual at a time, one act of courage, again and again. If this message spoke to you, like this video, subscribe for more, and leave a comment. I felt this too. And if you're ready to go deeper, check out some of our resources, linked below. Thank you for being here. Thank you for feeling this, and thank you for not giving up on love.